There's some inflation data out tomorrow. Doug Flynn joining us today. Maybe people looking forward to that consumer price index.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's tomorrow. I want to talk to you a little bit about President Biden right here at the top, if I can, meeting with the Japanese Prime Minister, because there's at least two topics that kind of financially related. I'll put up the headlines. Number one headline from Reuters, their exclusive report that Biden and the Prime Minister of Japan are likely to discuss a Texas bullet train project. It's going to be a bullet train Houston to Dallas. Second headline, this is from the Associated Press. Biden will meet with the Prime Minister amid shared concerns about China and differences on the U.S. steel deal. So on both, first of all, on this, Nippon buying U.S. steel and, what could be discussed there.
Yeah, well, interestingly, both Biden and Trump are against that. Obviously, they want to protect the union jobs, and Pennsylvania, with Pittsburgh, is the headquarters of that, so they want to maintain that. Now, Nippon Steel has said they're going to maintain that, maintain the jobs, but it's not a good look. I mean, we're behind Japan in worldwide steel production. I don't think we want to give away any more of that to a foreign country, even though China has more than 50% of the entire world's steel production, and we're at like 4%, and Japan's at like 5%. But still, I think it's more of a political thing, and they don't want it to be a bad look, especially in an election year. So, and look, Japan is coming on strong. Their market's doing well. Things are improving for them, and the relationship is strong. And maybe we just don't do this deal. I don't know, but that's the way it seems like it's playing out.
What about the bullet train thing? That's something we used to talk about this for years in certain places, usually California and then the East Coast, when the Ocella came in from Amtrak, fine. But in Texas, Houston to Dallas, to somebody it might sound good, but then if you speak to someone in Texas, they might say, I have no interest in a train. I want to drive my truck from Houston to Dallas, as far as it may be. I don't know. But you need consumer demand for these types of things. They have it in Japan, They have it in China. I was on their bullet trains, by the way. They do move fast. What about here?
Yeah, it's a good point you bring up about consumer demand, because a lot of this central planning stuff that China does is say, we're going to build this and then you'll like it. Right. And we're kind of the other way. So I don't know how much demand there is for this. I also know that if anyone who's been to Europe and been on any of those trains, and they do go 200 miles an hour, our trains do not. So, I mean, it is a great idea in theory if you can get the people to do it. I don't know if people, like you said, don't want to be in their own truck and control. Yeah. It's a big thing for Americans. But on the Northeast corridor over here, it's slow getting from Boston down to D.C. and in between. So, in Texas, they have a straight shot. And then you have all those environmental things, and you have eminent domain issues. I mean, These are long haul battles that you're going to have to get through, even if people want it. That has to happen.
Forget 200 miles an hour. We'll take like 15, 20 miles an hour on the Long Island Railroad some nights, which is another story altogether. Okay, this is it, by the way. We should have brought tissues, so we'll wipe a tear away from our eyes. This is the finale, the last edition of Doug's Tax Tip Tuesday. I mean, tax day is next week, right? April 15th is coming up. So this week, let's put up the first screen that you have, because you're talking about changing ownership on a home or an investment account, I believe. So take it, there it goes. Be careful when you're doing so, it says here. Take it from there.
That's right. And people come to me all the time and say, I just put my kid on my deed, or the kids say, my parents just added me to the house. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. If you inherit a house through someone's passing, like if your parents pass, you inherit the house, you get what's called a step up in basis, and there's no income tax due. When they put you on the deed, it goes all the way back to the original date of purchase, as if you bought it. So they think they're doing a good thing, and they've actually transferred the original cost that mom and dad paid for the house a million years ago. That's probably highly inflated, and now you won't get that step up, and when they go to sell the house, they have to pay all those taxes. And a lot of people have no idea that this happens until it's too late, and they go to sell and they have to pay all that income tax.
Other reasons, though, right, to have there would be other reasons on Medicare and things like that, trusts, where you could make the case for doing something like that, or no, you don't ever think it's a good idea?
It's almost never a good idea, but really a trust can solve all those things. The goal is very valid. I want my kids to inherit it and keep it out of Medicaid. You can do all those things with a trust. People just tend to just put them on the deed and not do the trust.
Without the trust,
it's probably worth
so if you have a trust, you're good, but if you don't, you're not. So, okay, so did we do this taxes on earnings first for withdrawals from annuities that are typically bought, I guess or is that the third one? I think the other one was on bonds.
That's the third one.
Okay, bonds. So these, understand how interest works on the bonds, right, was the other one that you had.
Right. So you have double E bonds, and then you have the I bonds. If you remember 2 years ago, everyone got all excited that it was paying 9 point some odd percent on the I bonds. And by the way, that renewal rate that'll happen next month is probably going to be in the 3+% range. So you have to understand how the interest rates work on these bonds. But a lot of people choose to defer the interest. You can. That's what most people do. And what that means when you defer the interest is at some point, someone has to pay that interest.
Oh, okay.
And so sometimes parents are buying these bonds in the child's name. The kids don't even know because they're deferring the interest. The parent passes away. The kid inherits all these bonds. They go to cash them in. And once again, they have to pay all this tax on all this interest at a time when they're probably in their prime earning years. The parent might not have been in their prime earning years when they were doing this. So a good idea, but in the end, not such a good idea. There are better ways to do that.
I think we have to rush through the annuities one. I'm sorry about that. I was out of order there for a minute. So if
no,
wrap it
no
up
problem.
for us.
Long story short, annuities often have a teaser rate. You go into the bank and the person says, hey, you can get 6%. By the way, it's probably only 18 months, and then it drops to 3%. Same idea, tax deferral, great investments to live with, no taxes while you're there. But oftentimes when the kids inherit these annuities, they're deferred. They have to pay all the income tax on all that earned interest that the parents might have been better off paying in a lower bracket. It happens all the time. So just be very careful. You understand how annuities work when you buy them, and oftentimes you're locked up for a period of time, even though the interest rate drops.
I'm already getting upset thinking about next Tuesday and what it's going to be like without our tax tips. But this has been great, though, Doug. Seriously, I think a lot of people learned a lot and saved a lot of people a lot of pain and agony and more importantly, money. So good stuff. Good series.
Excellent.
Doug Flynn.